All right, we are live. Had to set up some background stuff. This is kind of on the spot. Let me give you a quick, small backstory. Here we are. I made a post. I guess I'll start with the post that said, oh my goodness, I don't even know how to use X. Okay, here we go. Immediate action. Okay, now, to VA rapid response. I'm sorry I used this thumbnail. It's a YouTube thing, but it got your dang attention. There we go. In case you're wondering why we use it, it got you to respond. Immediate action. Why is VA flagging legitimate, actionable, and sufficient DBQs from private providers? I just posted that video today. Made a little X post. I'm not a big X person. But that is how we can contact the VA now. And I am so grateful to have a response, especially if the veteran's only health care is VA, yet their VA provider refuses to complete VA forms and DBQs, although we have VHA Directive 1134. Okay. So if the VA's only provider, if the veteran's only provider is the VA, they need a DBQ, especially if they're fighting an appeal. Their VA provider says no. The veteran is forced to go to a DBQ provider. They don't have private insurance. They use a provider. Everything's legitimate. The evidence lines up. The VA is not adjudicating that claim properly. And I'm going to share exactly why that is. That's why I'm doing it live, because it's too much for a post. Anyways, they responded. Hi, Clayton. That's my real name, by the way. We can look into this issue. Please send us an email to customer care, blah, 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 all that information. So I responded saying, yeah, I'm going to do it live. And I'm going to put this live in the email. But just in case they have the cojones to watch it live, here we go. I'm going to do this live. No script, no anything, doing it live. So here we go. As Samuel L. Jackson would say, hold on to your butts. Right? If you know what movie that's from, let me know down below in the comments. Okay, but for members, thank you very much for joining. I definitely appreciate everyone here. I'm not going to be able to answer questions on this live stream. It's strictly in response to the VA. But let's go. Let's dive in. M21 TAC 1. Okay. We're going to go to part 4, examinations. We're going to go to chapter 3, sufficiency of exams. And scroll down here, and what will we find? Review DBQs. Okay, there we go, right here. If the DBQ is this, then this. So if it's missing information or contains blank or contradictory values in fields that are relevant to the rating activity, the VBA, the VSR, VA rater, supposed to contact them, document any of that, and then make notes in VBMS. All that's great. All that is awesome. Was completed by a non-VA provider whose records the veteran has requested be considered. So for instance, if we're looking at private records and that's using the DBQ, the VA absolutely needs those records. They need to verify that. So you have the 4142 there to ensure that happens. And the VA is going to double tap that. That's great. Okay. Then you see requires additional exam components, like let's say the DBQ provider, you're going for direct service connection and the provider didn't review your service records. Hello, that's a huge red flag. So now you're going to have to have a CMP exam. That's probably going to be contracted out by a third-party examiner, which is essentially a private DBQ. So one way or another, the veteran's getting a private DBQ with their claim. It's either going to be the veteran's choice or the VA's choice, okay? Where is it at? I'm going to have to see, this is what sucks when I do it live. Let's go back here. What is the 38 CFR examinations? 38 CFR examinations. Let me share the screen so everyone can see what I'm doing. It's like 3 dot something. 3.2 3326. Nerd. Okay. Oh, you can't see that. Provided that is otherwise adequate for rating purposes, any hospital report or any exam report from any government or private institution may be accepted for rating a claim without further examination. Provided that's otherwise adequate for rating purposes, a statement from a private physician may be accepted for rating a claim without further examination. That's great. That is awesome. That's what we want to see. We want the veteran to have power over their claim. Now, let's go to an OIG report, because this is what matters most. This is like the big fish in the barrel, okay? This OIG report is massive. I'm surprised that, you know what? We'll get to that. We'll get to that later. It's either fraud or it's not. And if it is fraud, then you need to pursue it, okay? But you can't blanket everyone for potentially fraudulent claims for no reason. That's wasting a lot of taxpayer dollars ordering unwarranted CMP exams. Food for thought. Anyways, number 3. Recommendation number 3. Let me zoom in here just in case you have bad eyes, okay? So, instruct the compensation service to provide claims processors, VSRs, guidance in the procedures manual on how to identify potentially fraudulent public questionnaire and provide the steps they should take when they suspect that a public questionnaire may be inauthentic or potentially fraudulent. Now, this matters when it comes to the point system. I'm going to show you a snippet of that, right? Here they are. We're going to come back to that. Don't worry. Do not worry. We're going to come back to that. You can click this right here. It goes to the full report. Here's the full report. We ain't got time to review this whole thing in case you're wondering. But here are these 6 indicators for potential fraud. All of these are solid except for one, in my opinion. Signs of alteration. Duh. That is great. Yes, the VA should be looking for legitimate fraud. That's not going to be in anyone's favor, okay? Contact information discrepancies. That's great. The MPI number needs to be up to date. It's got to be correct. It's got to be in line. It's got to be standard, right? Board certified, all that jazz. We'll skip number 3. We're going to come back to it. Don't worry. Other available evidence contradicts the findings of the questionnaire. That makes sense. You know, the private examiner is saying A when the evidence reflects B. That's an issue. Veteran refused to report for VA examination. I think that's debatable, but in the light of this live response here, let's just go ahead and give it to the VA. Although per 38 CFR, the veteran can request the VA rate the claim as is, assuming their DBQ is actionable and sufficient. That's a different story. 6, assignment of 100% disability rating without evidence of current medical treatment confirming the severity of the condition. Again, that makes sense, which brings us to number 3. Examiner's address on the questionnaire is more than 100 miles away from the veteran's address for in-person examinations. That matters. This matters. 2 reasons. 1, legitimately, if the DBQ suggests that the veteran's DBQ was done in person and it clearly wasn't, but full on red flag it, that's great. The issue is that's not what's happening. Because if the DBQ is done via telehealth and it's 100 miles away, the VA is still flagging these for potential fraud and sending these actionable insufficient claim or DBQs, a part of claims, to a CMP examination, not in favor of the veteran whatsoever. That's the issue. Okay, why is that happening? Because that is how the VBA has interpreted recommendation number 3. Now, it gets even worse. That's not even the big issue. I'll show you the big issue here. The big issue is this. Let me make my screen big. We're going to go to these 2 photos right here, okay? Now, do I work for the VA? Nope. Am I an idiot? Nope. So let me explain this. Right here, selected transaction says RFD, ready for decision, which means, hey, this veteran's claim is absolutely solid. It's ready. Send it. Get this veteran the benefits they have earned. Everyone agrees with that. The evidence is in line, bada bing, bada boom. But you can see the performance measure, the performance award, I should say, is 0.43. Okay. Now, the reason that matters is because the VA performance system is jacked up. It's based on quantity. How many claims can we process? Okay. And how I process them, how many points am I going to be awarded if I'm a VA employee? I'm not, to be clear. I used to be a federal employee for the Army, not the VA. If I'm a federal employee and the incentive is to process claims faster, gosh darn it, I'm going to process claims faster. That's not really a big issue. I mean, quality becomes a question there. The big issue is the correct thing to do was for RFD. And then you see another claim where it says select transaction, initial development, meaning they're sending this exam or this claim to a CMP exam. Okay. This award is 8.81. It's almost double. Okay. It's almost double the amount of points, not for any quality aspect whatsoever. So if I am a VSR, I see a claim that has an actionable, sufficient DBQ. It's telehealth. It's 100 miles away. I can flag that, send it to an exam, and get double bang for my buck. If you don't think that is an internal incentivized issue that's just flying under the table, I'm sorry. You get what I'm saying. I don't want to say anything bad. I'm not a big fan of you if you think that's okay. Let's just put it that way, right? That's the issue. Now, there's another issue. It gets even better. If a VA rater, right, ready for a decision, boom, I'm making let's say I'm a VA rater, I'm making that decision. The claim did not go to an exam because the DBQ was actual insufficient, but it falls within this 100-mile or outside this 100-mile radius, okay? If that VA rater makes a decision on this claim, QRT, quality, is going to come back, give them the bad guy hammer, and say, hey, you're getting dinged because you did not push this back for an exam. Again, another internal VA issue that, sure, we're talking about VA employee performance here, which is just a factor. The outcome is two things. One, the veteran's getting hammered, all right? They did their due diligence. They submitted a actionable, insufficient, non-fraudulent DBQ with their VA disability claim. It truly is fully developed. The veteran took it upon themselves, especially if they're fighting a denial. Like maybe they didn't want to hire an attorney, whatever. They're doing it themselves. They get private medical evidence because CMP examiners absolutely suck. VA, if you're watching this, if you're wondering if CMP examiners suck, the answer is yes. They all suck. There's probably 5% of CMP examiners that are doing great. And guess what? They're going to quit here soon anyways, and we're going to continue that cycle. Anyway, but the point is, the veteran is doing everything they can to give the VA evidence, and the VA is saying, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. Go to a CMP exam, which, by the way, is probably a nurse practitioner with less than 1 year experience. Not to mention the private DBQ you submitted that's non-fraudulent is from a board-certified physician psychiatrist with over 15 years in the field who is a veteran themselves, right? And somehow, that board-certified psychiatrist is potentially fraudulent, but this nurse practitioner, less than 1 year experience on CMP exams, is not. I'm not digging on nurse practitioners. I'm just saying the VA system is butt backwards. Okay? It's butt backwards. That's the issue. Let's see. Now that assuming they're watching this whole live stream, which I doubt, but if they are, What are some questions you want to ask right now? I'm trying to go through the chat. Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it. 80% is nice. Oh, yeah. I'm hoping they watch it. Thank you. Appreciate that. I've had multiple doctors in Texas whose offices are in multiple cities, and only one is near me, but the main office is well over 100 miles away. They just have multiple offices. There you go. Ooh, also, I need to make sure. Oh, you are a mod. Okay, you're good. You're modded up. Why it's so difficult to get a referral renewal from the VA for the community care providers? I mean, the VA is going to push community care so hard. I think that will change very, 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 very soon. Yeah, and to be determined by VSR or VSR, absolutely. So claims processors and raters. What does this mean? Step 7 of 8. Honestly, when it comes to VA steps and their claim, I would stop checking the status of your claim. It'll be finished when it's finished. But sure, it'll be done soon. And by soon, no one knows what that answer is. Exactly. This is a great one here. Okay. I love it how the VA feels that CMP exams that last 15 minutes total for 4 to 12 exams seems sufficient. But yet your private DBQ is potentially fraudulent. What's happening is you see this blanket stamp where the VA is labeling things as fraudulent when they're not. Listen, if it's fraudulent, every single veteran in America is going to support the VA pursuing legal action against fraudulent providers when it comes to medical evidence and VA disability claims. Everyone's going to support you on that. What we're not going to support is blanket labeling a DBQ potentially fraudulent because the VA OIG made a recommendation, and now the VBA has interpreted that recommendation that everyone sucks except for our CMP examiners. Riddle me that, okay? All right, that's all I got. I'm going to keep it short. I don't want the VA to get scared when they see the time limit on this live. So thank you very much, Joseph. I see that. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to end it here. Thank you. Appreciate it.